If you want to get better at up-tempo jazz drumming, then there's two things you're really going to need. Firstly, the technique that you're going to learn in this video, which is why you clicked on it. And secondly, the commitment to keep practicing the movements that you're going to learn today consistently over a long period of time. Both are of equal importance, so let's not mess about. This is the technique. I call them up-tempo threes, playing 3 notes with 1 wrist movement through the use of rebound and the snapping of your fingers. Now firstly, and if you want your groups of 3 to sound solid, you definitely don't want to skip this step. You want to build up a foundation for the technique by working on playing groups of 2 with a similar technique, push-pull. This is a great technique for playing fast double strokes that sound super even and consistent. So to play a classic 2-note push-pull, you'll start by playing a wrist stroke, just like you would for a standard single stroke. Next, when your stick hits the surface, simply push all your fingers out straight like this. Your stick should bounce straight up, and if you don't control it, it should be able to bounce all the way to the back of your hand. Make sure that you tilt your stick up in the air like this, and don't just raise your whole arm up like this. It's just like when you're bouncing a basketball, the flick of the wrist is gonna give you the most rebound. If you edited my sticks out of my hands, you'd see that my fingers end up just going straight like this. And be careful not to wrap your index finger around the stick. This will cut off the rebound from your stick, making it basically impossible to do the rest of the movements. And one really common technique issue, which to be honest, I still struggle with, is you don't want to let your little finger hang off the stick and poke out by itself like this. But instead, you want it to stay with the rest of your fingers here to support the stick on this next movement, the snap. Once your stick is up in this position, you just need to snap your fingers in like this. Literally, just quickly close your hand and give it some power. Don't even worry about the snap being too loud to start with, because as you start to play this technique faster, it will just even out with the volume of the first note. So now to play the full technique, all you've got to do is piece together the push and the pull. So you want to start with your wrist stroke, fingers open as your stick hits the surface, and snap your fingers in on that second note. As you play faster, the movement will get smaller and smaller, but the outcome is consistent, controlled double strokes. Yeah, boy. And if you're thinking, Alex man, I came here for up-tempo jazz, not to talk about double strokes, then fear not, my friend, I got you. So now we've got the foundation to build on top of, so in order to turn this group of 2 into a group of 3, we just need to add in 1 extra step. So you'll still start off with a wrist stroke, still open your fingers as your stick hits the surface, but this time you're going to leave your fingers open for a little longer to allow an extra bounce to happen in the middle of the technique. And then you'll snap your fingers in just like you did on the push-pull, but this time on the 3rd note instead of the 2nd note. Personally, I find it really helps to turn your wrist fully French. Turn your wrist so your thumb is all the way on top. And importantly, your fingers are supporting the stick at the bottom because, you know, gravity. This is honestly a hard technique to play slow, so you'll need to give it enough pace so that the energy from the wrist stroke at the beginning carries all the way over to snapping your fingers in on that 3rd note. Otherwise, the bounce will just slowly fade out before you really have time to snap it in properly. And just to properly cover something that we touched on earlier, you definitely want to make sure that all of your fingers are snapping in that 3rd note together. The little finger coming off the stick is a really common technique issue, but each finger off of the stick is 1 finger less support and 1 finger less power. So get them on there, son. And if you remember the second point that I made right at the very start of the video, it really does take a long time for these kind of techniques to settle in and get deep into your muscle memory. So take your time, be patient, and enjoy the process. If you're finding when you practice this that your hands are getting tired or cramping up really easily, then have a go at combining the technique with single stroke quarter notes whilst playing your left foot on 2 and 4. And you can choose how much or how little to add the groups of 3 in there, which will give you a bit more headroom and it sounds super sick. The tempo that I would recommend working up towards is 300 BPM, so pretty rapid. Of course, you can push it a lot faster, and some drummers definitely do, but I'd say if you're comfortable playing at 300 BPM, you're going to be good to go in most musical settings. Now, if you've been watching this video thinking push-pull, easy mate. Groups of 3, walk in the park, bruv. Then firstly, this video wasn't really made for you, so I'm not 100% sure why you're still watching. But once you do get to that point with your playing, then the next level, the big boss of the up-tempo realm, is to combine the 2 techniques together to create the classic Tony Williams groups of 5. So to play this, all you gotta do is start off by playing a standard group of 3. And as your fingers snap the stick in, push it straight back out and play a group of 2. Don't get me wrong, that's a lot easier said than done. It's definitely a really difficult technique that will take a lot of practice, but this will give you a lot of clarity and a lot of control over the evenness of the 5s. And it sounds so sick, mate. Now, honestly, I'm not 100% sure if that's actually the technique that Tony Williams was using. Famously, throughout his career, he used less and less rebound as he progressed. But I do know that it definitely works, and it's a great way to access that phrasing. So have a go of it and see how you get on. And if you're currently putting in the work to level up your feel on the ride cymbal, then firstly, massive props. And secondly, you might also want to check out this video here, where we dig into the one adjustment that you can make to your ride phrasing that will have the biggest impact on your feel. And I'll catch you over there.